I'm like, that's some truth. There is some truth in
He really did ask
the
for it.
media these days. Okay. We will call this meeting of City County Commissioners to order for Tuesday, September 26th, 2017. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Stacy, please lead us in prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for the splendor of this beautiful fall day, continuation of summer. And as we travel across the county and see the many festivities and activities going on, fall harvest getting well underway, and the progress that continues from each side and end of the county. Please continue to have safety for all those involved in any and all activities. Be with us as we guide through conducting the business and what's best for the citizens of Seneca County. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Let's try roll call.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Stacy.
Here.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous board session that was conducted September 16th and the written index thereof.
So moved.
I will second. Any objection? Hearing none, I stand approved as submitted. Okay, agenda items, additions today.
We'll give a brief Foster Economic Development update under old business.
FEDC, and I want to have Tanya come in and bring us up to date on the airport meeting we had yesterday. Anything else?
Board of Elections under new business, and just a reminder about our next board session next week.
Okay, so let us begin with the Justice Center. Commissioner Stacy.
Okay, and the report from the builders end of last week that was sent to us at the beginning of this week. Lots of things going on. Exciting to see some of the images, and this gets posted to our website. On the interior, things going on because we can watch the outside stuff, but on the inside is what we don't get to see, specifically some of the tiling going in on the second floor. Still working on ceiling grids. Interior drywall on the third and the fourth floor, so you are going to get good walls, Judge.
Good.
You get some solid walls up there. The different piping stuff going on. Planning to have, it said the drywall complete here yet in September, so that's all good stuff. The outside, you can see they're working on more windows on a daily basis and more trim to the mansard roof and to the white trim that's going up around everything too. So Justice Center leadership team meeting is Thursday at noon at the Public Safety Building on the fairgrounds.
Yes. Also looking from your vantage point, Judge, you're blocked out now?
I'm sorry?
Are you blocked out now from?
Oh, I can't see anything, so I have to walk outside and look. I keep an eye on them.
Good.
They're working hard. Those guys work hard. Men and women.
Yes.
Yes. Airport update, let's see if
Wait,
she's.
I got
Yes.
one more
Wait.
Justice Center, please. My turn on Justice Center.
Go ahead.
I think I've given you some quotes on the FF&E budget a couple weeks ago, and then I got some clarification on a couple of the numbers from Tom Potts from Silling. They were wondering about the built-ins. It was a $5,000 difference between the original bid and what the upgrading to the built-ins was going to be. I would like to know if I can proceed with that. I know at one point we thought that cost was going to be much higher, and we were going to potentially ask the tenants, new-to-be tenants, to cover that cost. But just the impression I got last meeting, since we were within our budget, I just want to know what your thoughts on that.
Let's review the budget one more time. We have how much for FF&E?
FF&E $450.
Okay, where are we at?
The total would be $429, $555, and that includes the $5,000 in that.
The building. It's
The
basically
building.
a change because they were standalone units, and the difference between the standalone units and the buildings. That's why I thought about. Commissioner Stacy, what do you think?
I am fine with that adjustment.
I'm okay as well. Do you need any formal action or just let you know?
Just let me know, and we did get state term pricing on that document storage area for Gene. And us purchasing that separately under state term pricing, we get a much better deal on it. So she was wondering if I could go ahead and authorize that, and that is under that amount as well. Just I have to pay for it separately, but it comes out of that FF&E.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get those going.
We started an exterior committee. Commissioner Stacy, are you aware of any activity that's going on there? Landscaping and?
Oh,
That's
I'm not, yeah, it's Shane's
Okay.
committee, so no, I do not know
I don't know if there's
where they're at.
a dollar amount to that or something.
Nope, I haven't heard yet.
I have not seen one. I'm on the committee.
You're on the committee, so, okay.
Has the parking committee met yet?
I'm not on the parking
Okay.
committee.
Is
I
Shane-
effectively avoided that.
Oh, I think, yes, you're right.
I
It was Judge
kept
Schell.
raising the issue for the last 2 years, and now that I've got everything stirred up, I'm backing away from it.
Yep, I think that was Judge Schell.
Judge Shuff, I believe, was spearheading.
Yep.
Okay, Tanya and I met with the FAA yesterday at the airport about some grant money, potential grant money, so I'll kind of turn it over to Tanya, let her bring you up to date here.
Short story is, in our application this year, we had requested some land acquisition that was not on the airport layout plan, and it kind of got FAA going, whoa, wait, we didn't know about this. Brad, through the years, has acquired land as it's become available, knowing that we would need it for clearance for the trees and such close to the runway. So we had a discussion with them yesterday regarding that land, regarding those specific items in the application. And they, we tried to do this through conference calls, and we couldn't get them to say, yes, we'll do this. Well, yesterday in the meeting, after physically walking out onto the runway and looking at the former Tice property and the other properties in question that Brad currently owns, they are in agreement to go ahead and put the purchase agreements in place for application in the next round, which we do, I believe it's next May or June, to acquire the whole property as opposed to the sliver that was originally requested in the application for this year. We do have enough entitlement monies to cover all those items, we believe, but we'll have more numbers as Jeff puts everything together, works through putting it, and it was several parcels from Brad Newman and then one parcel from a Mr. Olson. We are still waiting on review appraisal. I was told we should have that this week. Well, Jeff at Stantec should have that this week. That will be able to talk about that in executive session and figure out where we stand and be able to start negotiation process for that and get a purchase agreement in place.
So, this is my understanding, to make it real clear, there are requirements the FAA has about distances past the runway, which the airport needs to know. There is some additional land beyond that, that if we did buy that land wide enough, that's required under FAA, that then we would landlock basically the rest of the property, because there will be no ability to, as far as an easement goes, on that property.
Because we don't own property on the other side.
There is a word that they used about the additional land that's adjacent to that.
Yeah, and I forgot to write that
Yeah,
down
I don't
too.
remember. But anyways, it is allowable under the FAA regulations to buy that. In fact, the discussion was that even though, let's say that it's 200 feet from the runway, you have to be clear, as planes get larger, the requirement may continue to be wider than that, so it's better to have more, obviously, than less.
Correct.
And we have 3 years' worth of grant money.
4.
Well, we have 3 right now, and 18 comes in,
Yes.
well, then it'll be the 4th year that we have not used. And again, to make it clear, this is all federal money, FAA money, that will be used to purchase this. And when it is purchased, then there needs to be some clearing of some trees because of the 7-to-1 rule.
Correct. And they do have a rule that we will only pay for tree clearing on a parcel once. So if we're gonna clear
Clear it.
it, clear it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it would be up to the local government to pay for it after that. So luckily, the vast majority of that, there is woods already on the other side, so we're not gonna have any exposure of homes by taking down those trees. Per Brad, they're all ash and softwoods anyway. There's not hardwoods in there. It's kind of a lot of junk wood, so it's probably better that it comes down anyway. There's some environmental things that need to be done to make sure it's not in wetlands and all of that, but we have from now until the next grant application to get all of those pieces and parts in line, so that way the next grant application comes around, we're set to go and not these questions like we were this
From an
year.
environmental standpoint, the only time they let us cut those trees is from October 1 to February 1, I think it is, because of habitat.
The Indiana
So,
bat roosting
Hopefully,
season.
yeah, hopefully the timing will be good. The grant, if it goes through, would be announced sometime next September, which then would allow us to take care of what we need to take care of at that point.
Yep.
Is there a plan to do an update to the master plan? Does the FAA require that with any of this? Because I know we talked about there's an existing plan.
We have to, the ALP is that constant update, not necessarily the master plan.
Okay.
Which I believe Stantec has done once, but after we have our planning meeting here in a couple of weeks, we may do some more updates to that plan based on the
October
goals and
the 12th,
objectives.
October
So
the
it doesn't-
12th here, we have a review of the master plan and to talk about all the items that are on the agenda for the airport. Yes,
How many acres total is it you'd like to acquire? You know?
37,
37 plus or minus.
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, that land, can you landlock somebody in? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're saying that if we bought what was necessary, Tom, to meet with FAA requirements, would be east and west of the runway, then, is that right?
The current standards are we only need about 10 foot.
Right, but if we did that, then everything that was on the other side of that that's now owned by Brad and a couple other property owners would become landlocked, because you're not allowed to cross the runway to get to it.
We don't own what's on the other side of
There is a
it.
strip from the old Tice property or back in there somewhere, it's not quite there, but it's like 5 foot to get there, but it's not nearly enough for an easement. So, we talked about a temporary easement, allowing people to get ingress and egress. If we buy all of it, that concern goes away, because it all becomes part of one parcel, which makes the most sense. I mean, the FAA guys agreed to that, everybody agreed to that yesterday, once they're there and actually had a visual of it.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Brad did give me this after I left. It's the, ODOT does a 3-year review. It's called a pavement condition index. I believe we saw this last year when we did our conference call with Brad, with the FAA last fall. This is just their updated plan showing that, our pavement is in basically excellent condition because green is good, red is bad.
So the runway looks very good. The taxiway is probably gonna need some help here soon. But it looks good. I mean, these guys, the FAA guys were very, very impressed with the upkeep, maintenance of the airport. They suggested that it was in a very high top tier as far as county airports go when it comes to appearance and maintenance, so. Trying to take care of it.
I'll put that in the mail. I can email it to you. I don't know if it went through yesterday with the
Oh,
email issues.
yeah.
I had tried to.
Any other questions about the airport? Foster Economic Development.
At their board meeting last week, just a couple of the highlights. They're gonna be launching their new website soon. They introduced the new director for the Foster Learning Center that I think I talked about last week. They had the ribbon cutting for that neat facility, and the new director is Katie Clark. And on October 30th, they're coordinating things to do a business roundtable with Congressman Jordan. So there'll be more information will be coming out about that
October 30th?
on October 30th.
Okay, okay, anything else under old business? Under new business, we have Board of Elections.
Board of Elections, yes. I sent you guys an email. The Board of Elections is asking for an additional $6,000 in advertising. Went down yesterday afternoon to look at their budgets and discuss a few things. Whether, I don't know if you guys are aware, they have 17 ballot issues requiring legal classifieds. We did go over the budget, and if it would have been a normal year, they would have plenty of money in their budget for advertising. They budgeted enough for the typical election, so just with having to run so many legal classification ads, which apparently in the advertiser, the legal classification ads are more expensive, and by revised code, that's how they have to advertise it. So the only good news is that, you know, they will get charged back for that, that each entity will get charged back for that, so the county will get reimbursed, but not until next year. So we do need an additional $6,000.
How do they charge, who do they charge back for that?
The entities like Mental Health and Recovery Services Board,
They actually pay for that advertising?
yeah, they'll pay for the advertising,
Their
they
share.
pay for their share.
Is each
Right,
one
right,
a separate ad, or it's the big ad that explains all of them? Forget how it goes.
Each separate.
Each
I
separate.
think that's
I
what they
wonder
said.
why that is a reimbursement as opposed to pay for it if you're gonna put it on the ballot.
Just in revised code, that's what they said they had to do, but they do charge back for, you know, the labor, their share of it anyway, so they do get it back.
So since it is theoretically a non-recurring cost and will be reimbursed for it, do we want to add it to the budget? Or is there another method by which we can, for lack of a better word, lend it to them until they pay us back? I mean, what I'm saying is, if all we would do is increase the size of the budget.
Right.
So that next year when we come in and talk about the budget, the base budget will be blown up somewhat.
Exactly, yeah.
No,
So
'cause we keep track of those things, so we'll know when budget season comes back around. We keep track of those to know what a one-time expense would be, so we'll know not to put that in the budget for next year.
All right.
Did they have any funds to move that weren't being used in the budget since we're this late in the year?
They had a little bit in supplies, but he said they haven't purchased all of their needs for this election yet, so he was afraid to move stuff that he'd get short on that. They did ask for some training materials, but they did find enough in their budget that they don't need any money from us for those presentation items. They want to get a laptop and a projector so they could actually do the training, but they have that within their budget, so.
Okay, you're convinced that, or you're satisfied, I guess, we're not convinced, that there was an additional $6,000 worth of expenses that were unanticipated.
Yes, with the 17 ballot items, he showed me what they spent first election and what they anticipated, so this was definitely a lot more. I think it's, you know, a lot to do with New Year's Eve falling on a Sunday or something. There's a bunch of liquor license
things.
on there, so.
Yeah.
What action do you need from us?
I just need a supplemental appropriation for $6,000 into their advertising line.
You've got that in the appropriations today, or is that separate?
That's separate. I didn't have it ready, but I can have Tanya type it up quick. If you guys are okay with that, we can do that today.
It's fine, whatever keeps it moving.
Okay.
Appreciate you looking into it.
Yeah, thank you for the work. Okay.
Advertiser Tribune is expensive.
Any additional adjustments to the agenda, any other agenda items?
Just a reminder of our board session next week will be Wednesday, the 3rd at 5 o'clock in the annex. And we will do that on the 3rd floor courtroom.
Wednesday the 4th.
Or 4th, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
Wednesday
you're
the 4th at
5 o'clock.
the annex of the courtroom.
3rd floor.
3rd floor, the good Judge Kelly's room. 3rd floor, okay. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yes. And the architects will be there as well for the annex. They're working on the annex.
Do we have that estimate yet?
No,
That's get pretty close.
it sure is, yeah.
Okay, anything else? All right, let's go on with appropriations adjustments.
Okay, I have an appropriation adjustment for the Soil and Water Conservation District, moving a total of $14,918.55. I have a supplement to the permitted appropriation to the general fund, putting $144,000 into maintenance's various lines. This is what I brought up last week, put on the agenda for this week. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the Public Assistance Fund, moving $66,230. A resolution reestablishing the County Capital Projects Fund. It was at the recommendation of the State Auditor's Office that our Capital Projects Fund gets a resolution redone every 10 years to reestablish the revenue source, the funding, and so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep that on our reminder to do every 10 years. I have resolution rescinding the board's orders of September 19th, 2017, volume 93, page 412, supplemental appropriation to the Housing Revolving Loan Fund. Did not have enough in the line to do that appropriations. When she gets it ready, she will resubmit it. I have resolution establishing the Targeted Communities Alternatives to Prison TCAP Fund. The new fund will be 1223. I have a resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction Subsidy Grant, the Targeted Community Alternatives to Prison, on behalf of the Mental Health and Recovery Services. This is at the request of the state, so there was a error in the language that they wanted changed. It said, it had come to our attention that the word felony was omitted from the exception list of offenders on the original TCAP agreements. Our legal section has drafted an addendum to correct the issue. So Derek has looked at it. And then I have the supplement to the permit appropriation for the general fund, putting $6,000 into the advertisement line for the Board of Elections. That's all I have.
Okay, I will accept the motion for approval,
So moved.
and I'll second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay. Public comment. Anything from anyone? We are going to, you can say it, Tom, it's okay. We are going to go to executive session. We're talking about a couple of real estate sales. I don't believe there'll be any action. In fact, I'm pretty sure there won't be, but we will come back to session at the end of it. It should be a short time. You're welcome to stay or.
I'll move to go to executive session for purposes stated.
Second. Roll call.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes, we are in executive session.
Excuse me, Holly?
Yes.